The Tiger Who Came to Tea, written and illustrated by Judith Kerr. Once there was a little girl called Sophie, and she was having tea with her mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly, there was a ring at the door. Sophie's mummy said, "I wonder who that can be. It can't be the milkman, because he came this morning. And it can't be the boy from the grocer, because this isn't the day he comes. And it can't be Daddy, because he's got his key. We'd better open the door and see." Sophie opened the door, and there was a big, furry, stripy tiger. The tiger said, "Excuse me, but I'm very hungry. Do you think I could have some tea with you?" Sophie's mummy said, "Of course, come in." So the tiger came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a sandwich?" But the tiger didn't just take one sandwich. He took all the sandwiches on the plate and swallowed them in one big mouthful. And he still looked hungry. So Sophie passed him the buns. But again, the tiger didn't eat just one bun. He ate all the buns on the dish. And then he ate all the biscuits and all the cake until there was nothing left to eat on the table. So Sophie's mum said, "Would you like a drink?" And the tiger drank all the milk in the milk jug and all the tea in the teapot. And then he looked round the kitchen to see what else he could find. He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans, and all the food in the fridge, and all the packets and tins in the cupboard. And he drank all the milk, and all the orange juice, and all Daddy's beer, and all the water in the tap. Then he said, "Thank you for my nice tea. I think I'd better go now." And he went. Sophie's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Daddy's supper. The tiger has eaten it all." And Sophie found she couldn't have her bath because the tiger had drank all the water in the tap. Just then, Sophie's daddy came home. So Sophie and her mummy told him what had happened and how the tiger had eaten all the food and drunk all the drink. And Sophie's daddy said, "I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to a cafe." So they went out in the dark, and all the street lamps were lit, and all the cars had their lights on, and they walked down the road to a cafe. And they had a lovely supper with sausages and chips and ice cream. In the morning, Sophie and her mummy went shopping, and they bought lots more things to eat. And they also bought a very big tin of tiger food, in case the tiger should come to tea again. But he never did. Mog the Forgetful Cat, written and illustrated by Judith Kerr. Once there was a cat called Mog. She lived with a family called Thomas. Mog was nice, but not very clever. She didn't understand a lot of things. A lot of things she forgot. She was a very forgetful cat. Sometimes she ate her supper, then forgot she'd eaten it. Sometimes she thought of something in the middle of washing her leg, then she forgot to wash the rest of it. Once she forgot that cats can't fly. But most of all, she forgot her cat flap. The cat flap led her from the kitchen into the garden. Mog could go out and in again. It was her own little door. The garden always made Mog very excited. She smelled all the smells and chased the birds. She climbed the trees. She ran round and round with a big fluffed up tail. And then she forgot the cat flap. She forgot that she had a cat flap. She went to go back into the house, but she couldn't remember how. In the end, she sat outside the kitchen window and meowed until someone let her in. Afterwards, you could always tell where she had sat. This made Mr. Thomas very sad. He said, "Bother that cat." But Debbie said, "She's nice." Once Mog had a very bad day. Even the start of the day was bad. Mog was still sleeping. Then Nicky picked her up. He hugged her and said, "Nice kitty." Mog said nothing, but she was not happy. Then it was breakfast time. Mog forgot that cats have milk for breakfast. She forgot that cats only have eggs as a treat. She ate an egg for breakfast. Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said, "Nicky doesn't like eggs anyway." Mog looked through the cat flap. It was raining in the garden. Mog thought perhaps the sun is shining in the street. When the milkman came, she ran out. The milkman shut the door. The sun was not shining in the street after all. It was raining. A big dog came down the street. Mog ran. The dog ran too. Mog ran right round the house, and the dog ran after her. She climbed over the fence. She ran through the garden and jumped up outside the kitchen window. She meowed the big meow, very sudden and very loud. Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said it wasn't her fault. Mog was very sleepy. She found a nice, warm, soft place and went to sleep. She had a lovely dream. Mog dreamed that she had wings. She could fly anywhere. She could fly faster than the birds, even quite big birds. Suddenly she woke up. Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said, "I think you look nicer without a hat." Debbie gave Mog her supper, and Mog ate it all up. Then Debbie and Nicky went to bed. Mog had a rest too, but Mr. Thomas wanted to see the fight. Mr. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Mog thought, "Nobody likes me." Then she thought, "Debbie likes me." Debbie's door was open. Debbie's bed was warm. Debbie's hair was soft, like kitten fur. Meg forgot that Debbie was not a kitten. Debbie had a dream. It was a bad dream. It was a dream about a tiger. The tiger wanted to eat Debbie. It was licking her hair. Debbie shouted. Mog jumped. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother, bother, bother that cat." Debbie said nothing. She was still crying because of the bad dream. Mog ran out of the room and right through the house and out of the cat flap. She was very sad. The garden was dark. The house was dark too. Mog sat in the dark and thought dark thoughts. She thought, "Nobody likes me. They've all gone to bed. There's no one to let me in, and they haven't even given me my supper." Then she noticed something. The house was not quite dark. There was a little light moving around. She looked through the window and saw a man in the kitchen. Mog thought, "Perhaps that man will give me my supper." She meowed her biggest meow, very sudden and very, very loud. The man was surprised. He dropped his bag. It made a very loud noise, and everyone in the house woke up. Mr. Thomas ran to the kitchen and shouted, "A burglar!" The burglar said, "Bother that cat." Mrs. Thomas telephones the police. Debbie let Mog in and Nicky hugged her. The policeman came and they told him what happened. The policeman looked at Mog. He said, "What a remarkable cat." "I've seen watchdogs, but never a watch cat. She will get a medal." Debbie said, "I think she'd rather have an egg." Mog had a medal. She also had an egg every day for breakfast. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas told all their friends about her. They said Mog is really remarkable, and they never, or almost never, said, "Bother that cat." Like and subscribe for more. Storytime every Friday.